Let's take a moment just for you. A quiet moment to settle in and rest. Wherever you are, let your shoulders fall gently. Let your jaw unclench softly. Let your hands grow still and warm. Your breath is slower now and deeper. Take in one soft breath and let it go like a feather on the wind. You're safe now. You're warm. And the world has nothing else to ask of you. Not now, not here. This is your time to relax, to listen, to drift. And now, if you're ready, our story tonight begins on a quiet night in the corner of an old stone castle. Not the grand halls of the king, not the chambers with velvet curtains, but in a little room beneath the rafters where straw rustles with the gentle turn of a small boy. His name is Thomas. Thomas does not sleep in a feather bed. He does not wear silks, and he has no golden goblets by his bedside. But he has the soft hush of straw beneath him. He has the warm breath of the night wind through the shutters. And he has a dream. Oh, such a gentle, beautiful dream that comes for him when the stars are just right. Tonight is one of those nights. The room smells faintly of dry grass, and the wooden beams above creak softly, not in fear, but like an old house breathing in the moonlight. Thomas wraps himself in his woolen blanket, worn and patched with love, and as he closes his eyes, the world begins to change. The straw beneath him begins to glow, just slightly, a pale silver light like dew on morning hay. And then the rustle of straw becomes the flutter of feathers. Feathers white and soft, golden tipped and velvet dark. They curl around him like wings, lift him gently into the air without a single jolt or startle. Thomas is dreaming. And in his dreams the Feather King is calling. They rise together, Thomas and the bed of feathers, through the ceiling that melts like morning mist, up past the rafters, past the rooftop chimney, past the clouds that hum lullabies of wind. Up here, the air is cool and sweet. It smells like distant rain and crushed lavender. And the feathers, they sigh, they remember. Because in this dream, every feather once belonged to a different sleeper, a child, a mother, a knight, a poet. Every feather has held a dream once, and tonight they carry Thomas. They take him to the edge of the moonlit battlements, where the castle looks quiet and small below. A single lantern glows near the gate. An owl watches from the tower's highest perch, and then from the shimmer of moonlight comes the sound of footsteps, slow, soft, measured, a figure tall, cloaked in robes, woven from dandelion puffs and snow. He wears no crown, but all the feathers bow. This is the Feather King. Welcome, Thomas, the Feather King says, his voice like parchment and wind. You are light enough to dream truly, and heavy enough to carry what you find. Thomas blinks, and in his dream he is brave. Where are we going? He asks, softly. The king smiles. To where the softest stories sleep, where the warmest nights hide in the folds of feathers, and where every child's wish waits to be whispered again. The bed of feathers curls beneath Thomas. It feels like floating on a dandelion seed, or sleeping in a cloud made of lullabies. They rise once more past towers carved in moonlight, past stars that hum faint melodies, and far in the distance something shines, like candlelight under a quilt. The nesting grounds, whispers the king, where forgotten dreams are kept warm until someone needs them again. As they fly, the world hushes further still. The wind slows, even the stars grow sleepy, and beneath them a trail of floating feathers drifts, each one softly spinning down to land on windowsills, cribs, and straw beds, carrying kindness, quiet rest. Thomas lets his head sink into the pillow of dream feathers. They're so soft, he doesn't even feel their weight. The king hums a tune from a time before time, and the boy feels it stir in his heart, not loud, not sharp, but like something you knew once long ago, and I still know now, just a feeling of home, of hush, of sleep. It helps this sleepy corner of the internet reach others who need a little calm too. I always wonder, where in the world are you listening from right now? If you're still awake, leave a whisper of a comment, maybe your city and the time on your clock. It's a beautiful thing, this quiet little global gathering, all connected through stories and stillness. Now, let's set the mood, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum and get comfortable. As before, feel free to let your breathing slow and your eyes soften. Let each word hold you gently like a feather on your chest. The feathers beneath Thomas carry him toward the soft, distant glow. The light isn't bright, it's low and golden, like lamplight filtered through honey. The kind of light you'd never squint at, just breathe in. The Feather King says nothing. He lets the silence do the speaking, and it speaks gently, like moss beneath bare feet, like the hush of a lullaby, long forgotten, but never lost. As they descend, Thomas sees a field, not a regular field with grass and mud, but a great, sweeping plain of pillowed nests. Some small as thimbles, others vast as sails, each one softly glowing from within. They touch down like a sigh, the feathers fold gently, as if bowing, and Thomas steps into the warm hush of the nesting grounds. The air here is filled with scent, sweet hay, dried roses, a little soot, and something else, something like the inside of a book left open on a windowsill. This is where old dreams rest, says the king, his voice now even quieter, until someone dreams them again. Each nest Thomas passes seems to hum with memory, not words but feelings. He places his hand over one, a nest woven from lace and shadow. Inside, he sees a flicker, a child in a candlelit cottage, writing their name on fogged glass, then falling asleep to the sound of rain. Another nest, made of copper wire and owl feathers, holds the faint image of a knight, not fighting, but resting. Armor stacked neatly, a book opens on their lap, and a cat curled inside their helmet. The Feather King walks beside Thomas slowly, letting him see, but not disturb. Because dreams, you see, must never be forced, only invited. At the heart of the field, beneath the branches of a tree that glows softly with moonfruit, waits for a nest of straw and stars. It is small, it is simple, but it shimmers like a warm breath in the cold. The feathers lead Thomas to it, and somehow he knows this nest is his. Not forever, just for now, just for tonight. He lies down slowly, the way a bird might tuck into its feathers, the way a page might settle into a book, not rushed, not stiff, just there, held, heard. The Feather King kneels beside him. He holds one small feather, long, white, with a gold edge. I saved this one, he says softly, for the night you were ready to rest all the way. He presses the feather to Thomas's forehead. It's warm. It tingles like the first sip of warm milk. And then, inside Thomas's mind, or heart, or both, a story begins to unfold. Not read aloud, but I felt like a dream that already knows you. He sees a straw mattress, just like his, gently becoming a boat on a slow, sleepy river. The water sings to him, soft, gurgling lullabies that rhyme with nothing, but it means everything. He sees fireflies spelling words he's never learned but somehow understands. Words like quiet is a kind of magic. You don't have to do anything to be held. Some dreams only bloom when no one is looking. He floats, not just on the river, but in himself. The kind of floating that makes your fingers warm and your breath slow, and the space behind your eyes is soft and starry. And slowly, softly, so gently, he doesn't even notice the dream begins to fold. Like a letter placed back in its envelope, like a candle melting into sleep. Thomas stirs. The nesting grounds fade into golden dust. The Feather King places a hand to his brow. You'll come again, he says, but only when you've forgotten how this ended. That's how all real dreams work, you see. They come again when you're ready to believe in them anew. Thomas sinks gently downward. The feathers carry him down, down, back through the quiet castle walls, back through the wooden beams and tiled roof, back into his little room under the rafters, back onto his straw mattress. The stars are still there. The night wind still sings. But now Thomas is part of it. His breath moves like wind through wheat. His fingers curl like petals closing at dusk. And the straw beneath him rustles once, like a lullaby bowing out. And you, yes, you, dear listener, you too are floating now. Your own feathers have unfolded. Your mind is soft as down, and your body, warm, safe, and still, is slowly being cradled by night itself. There is nothing more to do, nothing to carry, nothing to hold on to. You can let go, just like Thomas, and rest. The candle in Thomas's room had burned down hours ago. No footsteps echoed on the stairs. No voices called his name. Only the soft shiver of wind beneath the shutters, and the occasional whisper of straw shifting beneath his blanket. But inside, the dream was still alive, its threads wrapped gently around his thoughts, even as sleep pulled him deeper. Because some dreams don't end when your eyes open. Some dreams tuck themselves between your bones and stay there, humming softly when the world gets too loud. And in the quiet of his small straw-scented room, Thomas turns and hears the faintest sound, not in his ears, but in his heart. A memory still feathered with moonlight. In the folds of his blanket, one feather remained, just one. It had come down with him from the sky, gold-tipped white and impossibly soft. No one else could see it, but Thomas could feel it, like the warmth of a hand long after it's gone. As he held it, the feather sang, not loud, not even music, really, but something deeper. And in that sound, Thomas remembered something he never knew he forgot. His mother's hand, years ago, pulling the blanket up to his chin. A voice saying, "There now rest easy. The night is kind. The smell of bread is still in the air, and the tiny warmth of being loved with no need to earn it." The feather pulsed once in his palm and then became still. Elsewhere, far above the castle, the Feather King was walking. He carried no lantern. He needed none. Wherever he stepped, the stars bowed down a little lower, and the night grew a little softer. He stopped by a windowsill, an old woman's room. She dreamed of running again. He placed a single feather on the sill. He moved on to a tower room, where a young scribe fell asleep over a half-finished letter. A feather, placed gently on the parchment. The ink would smudge in the morning, but the dream would be whole. And on he walked, feather by feather, night after night, gift after gentle gift, because that is what the Feather King does. He doesn't rule, he doesn't command, He doesn't even speak often. He remembers every dream, every heart, every sigh that was too soft to be heard. Back in his room, the sky was beginning to pale. The stars were slipping away like children too sleepy to stay. Thomas stirred. His eyes opened just slightly. He didn't sit up, didn't speak, just felt. Felt the softness under his body. Not feathers now, but straw, and yet somehow just as gentle. The feather was gone. Or maybe not. Maybe it had become part of the mattress. Or part of him. He didn't need to know. Because, in that in-between moment, before true waking, Thomas understood something important. The Feather King was real, not because he saw him, not because he remembered every detail, but because of the feeling that he was not alone. Those dreams were being kept safe, that someone, somewhere, was watching, not with eyes, but with care. And now, dear listener, perhaps you are a little like Thomas. Maybe you don't sleep on a feather bed either. Maybe your mattress is simple, or your day was long, or your thoughts won't stop spinning. But tonight you're being held, feather by feather, breath by breath, memory by memory. You don't have to hold on. You don't have to try. You can just rest. There is no story you must remember, no moment you must return to. Not yet. Just drift, just listen, just breathe. And perhaps when the morning comes and the day begins, you might find something on your pillow, something soft, something impossible, something golden-tipped, or maybe not. Maybe you'll just feel lighter, quieter, softer inside, as if some part of you flew last night, carried gently by feathers across the sky. Let's drift even deeper now into a space of quiet wonder, where feathers remember, and dreams are more than just pictures behind closed eyes. Let your body sink, let your breath carry you like a leaf on water, and let your thoughts soften like parchment left out in the sun. Long, long ago, before there were castles, before there were beds, before even the sky had stars, there was only stillness. And in that stillness, a single feather floated. It had no birds, no wind, no beginning, just presence. From that feather came all the rest. They didn't fall from birds, not at first. They were born from sighs, from wishes, from the weight of someone letting go at just the right moment. And the first dreamer, the one who watched over them, collected them, gave them shape, was the Feather King. Though back then, he had no name, no title, just a gentle task. To gather what others released and keep it safe, high above the clouds, where no mountain reaches, where no birds dare fly. There is a hidden place called the Chamber of Sleeping Feathers. The Feather King visits it once a month. He walks through its endless halls, lined with shelves, each shelf filled not with books or jars, but soft, folded feathers. Each one is labeled, not with names, but with feelings. Hope too shy to speak, laughter under a blanket, tears no one saw, the last hug before a journey. These feathers don't fly, they don't whisper, they simply rest, waiting, because someday someone will need them again. Back in the little tower room, Thomas has drifted off once more. This sleep is different, deeper. It has no color, no direction, just warmth and space. And in this sleep, he is not flying, he is not watching, he is becoming. He dreams he is a feather himself, light, unburdened, floating wherever kindness needs to land. He brushes over meadows, through open windows, across baby cheeks and browning leaves, and everywhere he drifts, someone, somewhere, breathes a little easier. Because sometimes, dreams don't come to visit. Sometimes, you become the dream. Far away, in a quiet room lit by starlight ink, the Feather King sits at a desk. He holds a special feather, sleek, moon-kissed, curved just so. It is called the Quill of Rest. With it, he writes names, not full names, not spoken names, but the feeling of a person's restfulness, how their chest moves when they're finally at peace, how their dreams feel just before they begin. He dips the feather into a well of silence, not ink, but actual, liquid, quiet. And he writes a curl, a dot, a swirl, like wind, and another feather is born. As Thomas sleeps, his feather self finds its way back to the nesting grounds. Only now, he sees what he hadn't before. Not just nests, but tiny figures. Children, dreamers, wanderers, poets, each one tucked into their own soft space. Each one resting. Their dreams don't burst like fireworks. They ripple, drift, glow. Some are only colors. Some are scents. Warm bread, pinewood smoke, sea salt. Others are quiet memories. A smile from a stranger. A game long forgotten. A moment of being truly seen. And Thomas realizes each of these dreams was once a feather, gifted, caught, cradled, and now, in this gentle hour, this quiet corner between wakefulness and deep sleep, you, dear listener, are drifting to. Maybe you feel your body melt deeper into the bed. Maybe your breath has grown longer, slower. Maybe your eyes are heavy or already closed. Good. That means the feathers have found you. That means tonight you will be carried. You don't need to think. You don't need to solve it. You don't need to plan what comes next. Let your thoughts be feathers. Let your worries float upward. Let everything you carry rest. Just for now. Just for tonight. And as the Feather King closes his book and sets down his quill, a hush spreads across the sky. Every window, every rooftop, every sleeping soul is brushed by the whisper of invisible wings. And in the morning, though no one will see him, many will wake up with a peace they can't explain, a gentleness they didn't know they needed. And they'll move through the day a little slower, a little kinder, as if they'd been held by something too soft to name. You are almost there now, not in the story, not even in this room, but in a space only your dreams know. The Feather King is close. The straw mattress has become clouds, and your breath is the rhythm of sleep itself. Now take a moment to truly feel the softness beneath you. Let go of anything that came before this moment. Let this part of the story cradle you like a gentle wave, slow and steady. There is a kind of time that doesn't tick. It doesn't pass or fade. It doesn't count forward or back. It simply settles, like dust in golden light, like a blanket woven from quiet hours. That's what Thomas is wrapped in now. Not wool, not cloth, but time itself, soft, slow, safe, each moment folded into the next, like petals closing on a nighttime flower. He doesn't need to move. He doesn't even need to breathe deeply. His body does it for him now, a rhythm older than the stars. In a distant hall, long and high as a cathedral, the Feather King walks between mirrors. Each mirror shows a sleeping child, a wanderer, an old man in a chair, a baker in his break room, a queen in her chambers. Sleep has no hierarchy here. Each dream is lit from within, and the king holds a lantern that never burns out. The flame inside is not fire, but memory. It flickers with colors no language can name, hues of almost, tones of once, and flickers of maybe someday. He lifts the lantern toward each mirror in turn, letting the light soothe the edges of restless minds. And when the flame dims, he does not refill it. He simply waits, because stillness refuels it. Not fuel, not firewood, but pure, perfect pause. In Thomas's sleep, his thoughts begin to form tiny boats. Little dream sloops made of fallen leaves, twigs, bits of stories he half remembers. One is shaped like a kitchen table where he once laughed until his cheeks hurt. Another is a tower he's never seen, but somehow knows. The boats drift through a gentle dream river, slow, glowing, carrying pieces of him toward soft shores. There's no destination, no rush, because dreams don't need to arrive, they just need to drift. Outside the castle, in the real world, the waking world, autumn has just begun. Leaves rustle in quiet corners, orange, gold, sleepy red. The wind moves softly, almost as if it's listening, and perhaps it is, because sometimes the wind carries whispers, dreams that slip from windows, hoping to be remembered, and every now and then a leaf catches one. It folds around the whisper, it cradles it through the night, and when it falls, the whisper becomes part of the ground, part of the world, part of you. In the castle, beyond Thomas's small room, sleep has spread like warm syrup. The guards rest gently in their chairs. The horses sigh softly in their stalls. Even the mice beneath the stairs curl into nests of lint and forgotten threads. The castle dreams, not of battles, not of duties, but of things long past and sweetly remembered. The echo of music in a long quiet hall, a wedding feast with too much honey, children's laughter in the courtyard. The walls hold these memories. Stone can forget many things, but it never forgets laughter. You, dear dreamer, are floating now, light as a single feather, soft as moonlight on still water. Maybe your thoughts try to wander. It's okay, they're only little boats. Let them go. They'll find their own way. You don't need to think anymore. You don't even need to listen closely. You only need to be still, be quiet, be safe, because the Feather King knows where you are. He walks beside your thoughts. He places a hand on your dreams, and he waits until you are ready to be held by the hush. Back in Thomas's room, the wind curls once more. It slips in through a crack in the stone, soft as breath, and with it comes a single feather. It lands on his chest, just over his heart. Not heavy, not even felt, but known. It pulses once, glows once, and becomes part of him. Now, whenever Thomas dreams, he will remember the sky and the wings, and the hush of a world where nothing hurts. A world that waits for him, and wait for you, every night, without fail, without end. Let your mind drift like a leaf on a slow-moving stream, carrying you softly into the story's next fold. The secret garden at midnight, deep within the castle walls, hidden behind ivy-clad stone and iron gates, there lies a secret garden, not one for the daytime. No, this garden only wakes at night. Bathed in silver moonlight, it hums with gentle life. The flowers here don't bloom in the sun. They open only when the world is hushed, their petals whispering softly in the cool night air. Soft moss underfoot, and the scent of lavender, and time curling around him like a lullaby. Each flower in this garden is unique. Some glow faintly, like tiny lanterns. Others seem to hum a note so soft it feels like a sigh. One bloom, called the dream flower, holds a single drop of dew, not ordinary dew, but a drop distilled from the very essence of restful sleep. Thomas kneels beside it. He reaches out carefully. The dew is cool and sweet. like the memory of a mother's gentle hand on a fevered brow. Around the garden, vines twist and curl, not with thorns, but with soft tendrils that seem to breathe. If you listen closely, really closely, you might hear the vines telling stories. Stories of knights who dreamed of peace, of villagers whose hearts longed for quiet days, of bards who sang songs to soothe weary souls. The vines whisper all these tales, carrying them from flower to flower, making sure no dream ever gets lost. Tonight, the Feather King walks here too. He moves slowly, his footsteps silent on the velvet grass. He reaches down, touches the water, and sends ripples across the surface. Each ripple carries a dream and a promise that no one sleeps alone. Before leaving, the Feather King plucks a single flower, a bloom as pale as dawn. He places it on Thomas's pillow, where it will wait until the boy awakens. It carries a blessing. May your dreams be soft, your worries light, and your heart ever cradles by the quiet night. And now, dear listener, imagine your own secret garden, a place just for you, where the air is cool and the scents are sweet, where no noise can reach you and the world's busy hum fades away. See the flowers glowing gently, hear the vines whispering your name. Feel the softness of moss beneath your fingers. This garden is yours to visit whenever you need rest, whenever your mind is tired. And remember, the Feather King walks there too, keeping watch, placing feathers, and holding your dreams with care. You are safe here. You are calm. You are ready to drift deeper still. Let the quiet wash over you. Let the night bloom inside you. Let sleep carry you softly, feather by feather. Allow yourself to drift slowly, like a feather settling onto a page, carried by a calm breeze. Within the castle's oldest tower, there is a library unlike any other. It is not filled with shouting scholars or bustling students. No, this library is alive with silence, the kind that feels warm and safe. The books here do not just hold stories, they hold dreams too. When the castle sleeps, the pages flutter softly, like wings brushing against one another. A single candle burns low on a desk, its flame steady and slow, casting a golden pool of light. The smell of aged paper and beeswax fills the air. Thomas imagines running his fingers over the spines of books, feeling their quiet strength, their gentle promise. Every word written here is a lullaby. Every sentence is a soft step closer to rest. From a high shelf, a carved wooden owl watches silently. Not a real owl, but one crafted centuries ago by a traveling craftsman. Medieval people believed owls were guardians of knowledge, keepers of secrets, whispered only to those who sought them in stillness. Tonight, the wooden owl seems to blink, and Thomas feels the weight of ancient wisdom settling softly around him. Thomas closes his eyes in the dream library. He feels stories rise around him, light as feathers, floating gently through the air. Each story is a quiet river, carrying him slowly to places where he can rest and feel safe. Some stories hum softly of knights who dreamed of kindness. Others whisper of villagers who found peace in simple days. All of them remind Thomas and you that every tale, every dream is a gift. Among all the stories, there is one the Feather King returns to again and again. It is a tale of a small bird who lost its way, only to find home in the softest places. Tonight, the king whispers this story into the night air. letting its gentle words settle like snowflakes on Thomas's heart. And as the story unfolds, Thomas drifts deeper into sleep, carried by the quiet flight of the lost bird. A library filled with soft light, pages turning on a breeze only you can hear. Let the calm strength of those stories wrap around your shoulders like a warm cloak. Let the weight of the wooden owl's silent watchfulness settle like a feather on your chest. You are safe, you are calm, you are ready to rest. The Minstrel and the Silver Spoon. Then take a moment now, close your eyes if you'd like, or simply soften your gaze. Let your shoulders relax, let your jaw unclench. Feel the gentle weight of the blanket across your body. Notice how your breath moves, slowly in and softly out. You're safe, you're warm, you're ready for rest. And in this quiet space, a story is waiting, a gentle one. Our story tonight begins on the edge of a quiet medieval village, where soft mist curls over the cobblestones like breath on glass. It is early autumn, the leaves have just begun to blush gold, and a hush lingers in the twilight air like a lullaby yet unsung. The village is called Alderwin, nestled between low, rolling hills and the hush of old oaks. No road leads directly to it, only winding paths trodden by carts and footfalls and the occasional wandering soul. And it is down one such path that our minstrel comes, his boots dusted in miles, his cloak smelling faintly of wood smoke and lavender. His name is Elias, though few ask and fewer still remember. He carries a lute strapped to his back, its wood worn smooth from years of travel and song. A small leather satchel rests against his hip, and inside, among coins, parchment, and rosemary twine, lies a gleaming silver spoon. Not just any spoon. This one is curved perfectly to his palm-polished bright, but old. Stamped near the handle is the faint outline of a crescent moon. It was given to him years ago by a healer woman who once claimed that silver wards off sickness. Long before anyone had ever heard the word bacteria, she had pressed it into his hand and whispered, "Eat only with this, dear heart, and illness will pass you by like a shadow too shy to stay." And so he has, ever since. As Elias reaches the village gates, the last light of day softens the rooftops to gold. Windows flicker with hearth fire, and from a nearby cottage, the scent of roasted turnips and honeyed carrots drifts into the dusk. His stomach stirs, and he smiles. There is a festival tonight. He hadn't planned to arrive in time for it, but the air is full of warmth, and music's oft flutes, distant clapping, the thump of a drum carried by the wind. It calls to him like an old friend. At the square, the villagers are gathering children, chasing one another between tables. Garlands of dried flowers hanging from doorways, the smell of fresh bread thick in the air. The old baker waves him in. "Ah, a traveler with strings," the man chuckles, wiping flour from his hands. "Have you a song in your fingers, friend?" Elias bows lightly, and his voice is as warm as his smile. "I've a few," he says, unslinging the lute. "But I'd trade one for a seat by your fire and a plate of your famous root stew." Laughter ripples through the square, and a place is made for him near the central hearth built of stone, wide and welcoming, its flames casting a sleepy glow over every face nearby. He settles onto a bench, the fire at his back, the murmuring crowd before him. Children gather at his feet. A woman with gray streaks in her hair hands him a bowl, steam rising from it like a story about to be told. And then quietly, reverently he pulls from his satchel the silver spoon. Eyes widened, Even the children stop their whispers. He dips it into the stew, slowly, carefully, and for a moment the world is still. Not because of the spoon's magic, though the villagers whisper of it. Not because of the stew, it tastes like something dreamed of. But because in that moment, by firelight and song, they are all connected, by warmth, by hunger, by the shared silence that happens just before a story begins. Elias strums a chord, soft, lingering. The notes hover like moths around the flame, then another and another, until the square falls quiet, save for the lute's low murmur and the rustle of leaves above. He begins to sing not loudly, but like a lullaby meant only for those who truly listen. His voice is aged, not from time, but from travel. It carries dust and rain and candlelight. And the song, it's of a mountain girl who danced with the wind, of a river that sang when no one watched, of a crow who waited for a man to return home long after everyone else forgot. The fire crackles beside him. A child leans against her mother's shawl. An elder closes his eyes. The stars blink awake, and Elias plays on. In his pocket, the silver spoon still glows faintly in the firelight. Not with magic, not truly, but with memory. Of all the places it's been, of the meals shared, of the nights like this quiet, golden, held softly in the space between heartbeat and hush. And as his final note drifts into the dark, Elias sets the lute across his knees. He lifts the bowl again, finishes the last of the stew, and wipes the spoon gently with a linen cloth, almost tenderly, like one would with a beloved keepsake, or a memory too precious to speak aloud. Then he looks up, and his eyes, though tired, shine. "May I stay until morning?" he asks. "There's more music in me yet." And the villagers nod, and the fire burns on. Let that fire warm you now. Let the silver spoon glint softly in your imagination. Let the lute's song carry you gently into sleep. You're safe here, in a village called Alderwin, with stars above and stories all around you. Breathe in softly now, let it fill your lungs like the cool air of a twilight forest, and then slowly breathe out, feel your chest rise, then fall, like a lull in the waves. You are safe, you are warm, and our story gently continues. The village of Alderwin slept beneath a cloak of stars, quiet and content, like a book closed gently at its final page. But Elias did not sleep yet. He sat near the embers, legs crossed beneath him, back warmed by stone, and the silver spoon glinting faintly on the bench beside his hand. The last of the villagers had returned to their cottages. The night birds had begun their soft, fluting cries. The fire had dulled from a crackling hearth to a low, glowing pulse. He plucked a string on his lute. Just one. It rang like a bell across the empty square. The spoon caught his eye again, not just for its shine, but for what it carried. Not just a defense against illness, as old tales claimed, but a history. It had shared stew with kings and peasants. It had crossed rivers and borders. It had survived fires, theft, heartbreak, and silence. It was not just silver. It was a story. And so, he reached for it again, not to eat, but to remember. He held the handle lightly, thumb brushing the crescent moon engraving. It reminded him of a night long ago, when he was younger, his voice still unsure, and the world wide with wonder. It had been in a mountain village not unlike this one where snow fell sideways, and roofs were heavy with white. There, too, he had arrived on the eve of a feast, but that night the stew was thin, the faces gaunt. An illness had swept through the valley, and the people had nothing to fight it with, no herbs, no fire strong enough to warm the bones. He had eaten with his silver spoon that night, while the others shared wooden ones. And when days passed, and some still fell ill, they noticed, Elias remained untouched. And so the whisper began. "It's the spoon," they'd said. "Silver wards off the sickness." From that moment on, people began to bring their own cutlery, fashioning crude utensils of silver if they could afford it. Some wore silver rings, others tucked small coins into their pockets. Whether it was true or not, something shifted in the village after that, they believed, and belief brought strength. Elias, watching them heal, had smiled, not because of magic, but because of hope. And hope is the strongest medicine of all. Back in Alduin, a breeze tiptoed through the square, stirring dry leaves across cobbles like soft footsteps. The wind carried with it the scent of distant herbs, lavender, perhaps, or sage grown wild in the fields beyond the hill. Elias placed the spoon back in his satchel, carefully, quietly. Then he stood. He wandered through the village, his boots soft against the earth, past shuttered windows glowing faintly from hearths still burning within. Here, a cat curled on a windowsill, tail twitching. There, a lantern swayed lazily from a porch beam, and above, the stars blinked patiently, old and endless. At the edge of the village stood a well, stone-ringed, moss-touched. He paused there, resting his hand on the cold lip of the well, and looked into the dark water below. It was still, silent, reflecting the moon above. He hummed then a quiet tune, almost a whisper, a lullaby his mother used to sing when the roads were too long and the night too wide. Silver in the water, moonlight on the skin, carry me home when the dreaming begins. The words floated down into the well, echoing faintly. Then all was still again. As he made his way back to the village square, he passed the small herbalist's cottage. A soft glow flickered behind the curtains. He hesitated, then tapped gently at the door. After a moment, a woman answered. Her hair was plaited in 2 thick braids, and her apron was stained with petals and crushed leaves. She blinked in surprise, but not fear. "Elias, you're still awake." "I never sleep well the first night in a new place," he replied, with a tired smile. She stepped aside to let him in. Inside, the room was filled with the heady scent of dried thyme and honey. Jars lined the shelves, filled with tinctures and powders. A fire crackled in the corner, and an old cat lay curled beside it, snoring. He sat, and she poured tea steaming, fragrant, laced with chamomile and mint. "You carry a silver spoon," she said after a while, watching him sip. "I do," Elias replied. "And you believe in its power?" He paused, thoughtful. "I believe in what people feel when they see it," he said. "I believe in stories, in symbols, in how they make us feel safe, even when we don't understand why." She nodded slowly. "That's its real magic, then." And they sat in silence for a time. 2 wanderers of different sorts, one with plants, one with songs, both traveling through lives not entirely their own. When the tea was done and the fire burned low, he thanked her and slipped out into the night again. The stars above blinked gently, and the wind whispered low. Back at the bench beside the hearth's remains, Elias pulled his cloak around him and lay back. His lute rested beside him, the spoon safely tucked away. Above, the sky seemed endless. Below, the earth cradled him like an old friend. Sleep came, slowly at first, like a song remembered word by word. then all at once, and the village of Alderwin slept with him, wrapped in stories, silver soft, moonlight, still and safe. Take another breath with me, soft in through the nose, long and slow out through the mouth. Let the weight of the day melt just a little more. Let the hush of our story guide you deeper into the calm. Your thoughts can rest now like leaves floating on a quiet pond. And so the morning in Alderwin came gently. No roosters cry, no clanging bells, just the slow golden reach of sunlight across rooftops, the rustling of linen curtains, and the soft, sleepy stirrings of a village wrapped in dream. Elias awoke to the scent of dewdamp earth and a distant fire being rekindled. The coals near his resting place had cooled to black, but warmth still lingered in the stones beneath him. A feather had fallen onto his cloak sometime in the night, perhaps from an owl overhead. He lifted it between two fingers, smiling faintly. The world felt softer in the early light. Stretching slowly, he stood, joints gently popping, boots brushing away leaves from the hem of his cloak. His silver spoon had not moved from the satchel. His lute still rested where he'd left it. The village, too, was unchanged, timeless in that hour before true bustle begins. Somewhere nearby, a child laughed in a dream. He wandered quietly toward the well again, passing early risers who nodded in greeting. A young girl, still in her sleep, offered him a plum from her pocket, sweet and soft with ripeness. He bowed, took it, and bit gently. Its juice ran over his fingers, and he licked it clean, savoring the way it tasted like summer's memory. Beside the well, he sat again, spoon in hand, not to eat, not yet, but simply to hold it, to remember. The silver had dulled a little from the firelight and the stew. He polished it with the edge of his sleeve, careful as always. A traveling companion like this deserves care, for every time it had saved him from illness, or perhaps fear, it had earned its place beside him. He remembered an old rhyme, spoken to him by a crone once, long ago, near the borders of Brittany. She had seen the spoon hanging from his satchel and had smiled a toothless smile. Silver swallows poison true, but it keeps the fear from you. For in the heart, belief is best, and silver does the rest. She had offered him no coin, no cure, no name, just that, and a touch of his sleeve. He had remembered her ever since. Alderwin was waking now. The blacksmith's forge hissed faintly. Doors creaked open. Children skipped over puddles from the night's rain. Smoke curled into the sky like quiet thoughts rising. Elias slung the lute over his back again and began walking, not to leave, not yet, but to explore. He let the wind guide him, and it carried him toward the village's edge, where fields yawned wide and golden. Here, bees drifted lazily from bloom to bloom, and there beneath a bent willow sat the herbalist from the night before, basket in hand, gathering rosemary and yarrow with fingers as quick as birds. "You're still here," she said, not looking up. "For a little longer," Elias replied. "The road hasn't pulled me quite yet," she nodded, adding a handful of sage to her bundle. "Come," she said softly, "walk with me." Together they wandered the field paths, past wild strawberries and thick brambles. She showed him plants he'd never seen before, some used to soothe fevers, some for stomach aches, others for dreams. When they paused beneath a tree, he offered her the silver spoon. "Not to give," he said quickly, seeing the way her eyes had widened, "just to hold." She turned it over in her fingers, studying the crescent moon etched near the neck. The silver caught the sunlight, and for a moment Her lined face looked years younger. "I've read about these," she whispered. "Back before medicine knew what illness was. People believed silver could keep away plague. They'd wear it, eat with it, even sleep with it. Sometimes they still do." "And you?" she asked, looking at him now. He considered. "I think it reminds me of what I survived, and what I still carry." She nodded, understanding something unspoken. Then gently she handed it back. The sun climbed slowly overhead, casting a golden haze over Alderwin. The festival's decorations still fluttered from eaves and gates, though the celebration had faded into the simplicity of village life. Elias returned to the square, children calling his name. "Sing again," they cried. "Tell us the one about the fox in the chapel." "No, the river ghost," he laughed, brushing his hair back and lowering himself to sit beneath the old oak near the center of the square. It had stood there for generations, older than the cottages, older, perhaps, even than Alderwin itself. He strummed a note, then two, and soon his voice returned like a familiar tide. This time the song was slower, a lullaby of fields and sky, of a boy who followed starlight and found home in the laughter of strangers, of a silver spoon that knew not just sickness but survival. As he played, the herbalist listened from a window nearby. The baker wiped flour from his hands and leaned against his doorframe. A shepherd paused at the gate, his dog beside him, still as stone, and for a time the village stood still, not in fear, not in awe, but in peace, in the hush between notes, in the pause of the wind, in the glint of silver. They felt deep in their bones that they were safe, that they were held, that they were whole. And you, dear listener, you too are held. Let this part of the story rest in you, now like warm bread in your belly, like soft music in your chest. There is more to come, but for now, breathe. Let your breath rise and fall like the village waking under morning mist. Let yourself get even more comfortable. Feel how soft your breath has become, as if you're breathing in music and exhaling stillness. There's no place you need to be, nothing you need to do. We're drifting gently now back into our story. It was later that same afternoon, in the golden hush before dusk, when Elias found himself wandering again, this time not with purpose, but with a kind of gentle aimlessness that only comes when the soul feels safe. The lute hung softly at his side. The silver spoon was tucked, as always, in its pouch, and the village around him moved slowly like the breath of a sleeping world. He wandered toward the willow tree again, where the herbalist had gathered her plants that morning. Now she was gone, but her basket remained left purposefully near the base of the tree, tied shut with a ribbon of pale green. Next to it sat something small, wrapped in cloth. Elias knelt beside the bundle, careful not to disturb the soft moss or scatter the petals beneath it. He unfolded the cloth slowly, reverently. Inside a spoon, carved entirely from ash wood, smooth and pale, the grain curled like smoke across the surface. It had been rubbed with oil rosemary, maybe, or cedarand, smelled of earth and warm hands. Beneath it, a note, handwritten, simple. For when the silver grows too heavy, may this one remind you that not all protection must be carried in metal. Some are carried in kindness. M. He held the wooden spoon in his hand. It was lighter, of course, not as cold, not as sharp, but there was something deeply soothing in it, as if the very tree it came from had whispered into it, "You're safe now, rest." That evening he returned to the baker's cottage, where supper was being served on long wooden tables. The villagers welcomed him like family. He took a bowl of root soup, thick with barley and carrot, and for the first time in many, many moons he used the wooden spoon. It felt right, right for this place, right for this night. The silver one stayed tucked away, not forgotten, not replaced, but resting, just as Elias was learning to do. As twilight deepened, he played a song not on his lute, but on a small wooden whistle given to him by a child with freckles and crooked teeth. The notes were soft, fluttering, barely there, and yet they lingered in the air like fireflies. He played by the fire. The children danced with slow feet. The elders hummed along, and the stars blinked slowly awake. The moon rose behind wisps of drifting cloud, just a sliver, like a spoon dipped in ink. Elias looked up and smiled at the shape of it. It matched the crescent engraved on his silver spoon, and in that he felt the full circle of the day, how symbols hold meaning, not only in what they are, but in what they become to us, over time when we believe. That night, Elias stayed in the loft above the baker's oven. The warmth of rising bread had lingered in the walls, and the wooden beams creaked like the sighs of an old lullaby. He lay on his side, one hand under his cheek, the other resting lightly over his satchel. Both spoons nestled inside now, one heavy, one light, both his. He closed his eyes and let the sounds of the sleeping village lull him deeper. A shutter tapping gently in the wind, a dog yawning in its sleep, a soft snore from the room below, and his breath slowed and slowed until he slipped into sleep as easily as stepping into a stream. In his dream, he stood beneath the willow again, but this time the tree spoke. Its voice wasn't words, just wind, rustling, a shimmer of meaning. It told him, carry what matters, let go of what doesn't. Songs are enough. You are enough. He woke just before dawn, tears drying gently on his cheek, but he was smiling. When the sun rose again, the village square filled with soft light and the smell of baking rye. Elias stepped outside and stood a while, watching shadows shrink and the sky turn blue. He knew it was time to go, not because he was restless, not because the road demanded it, but because he had gathered what he came for, not a coin, not goods, but peace. He packed his satchel slowly, lute, spoon, cloak, whistle, and then one last song, a farewell tune, played just for the morning, for the windows not yet opened, for the children still dreaming, for the fire just now warming the kettle. When he left Alderwin, the road seemed softer, the wind warmer, the sky wider. He walked with quiet footsteps, with a heart that no longer echoed hollow, and a spoon that no longer had to guard him from the world. For he had found a place where he was known, where stories were enough, where silver and wood both held meaning, and kindness was a kind of protection no illness could ever take away. You, dear listener, are on a road to one of your own making, and like Elias, you carry symbols, memories, weights, hopes. Some may be silver strong, gleaming, heavy with meaning. Some may be wood simple, humble, and gentle to the touch. Let both rest in your satchel now. Let them guard your sleep. Let them remind you, you are already enough. You are safe. You are held. Sleep now, traveler. The story has quieted. The fire is low, and morning is far, far away. Let your breath slow. Let your body drift. And let the music of your dreams carry you to the quietest place you know. Let your body settle deeper into softness. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest, like waves washing quietly on a moonlit shore. There is no rush, no need to hurry. Just the calm unfolding of our tale, a slow, soothing river carrying us gently onward. Elias's footsteps carried him away from Alderwin, but not away from the warmth it had given him. Each step was lighter than the last, as if the village's kindness was woven into the very air he breathed. The road stretched ahead, soft earth dusted with fallen leaves, and wildflowers peeking shyly through the cracks. The scent of pine and fresh rain lingered faintly, carried on a gentle breeze that whispered through the trees. He paused beneath a canopy of maples, their leaves shimmering gold in the afternoon sun. Closing his eyes, he listened. The forest sang, not in voices or words, but in the rustle of leaves, the soft tap of squirrels' paws on bark, the hum of bees busy in unseen blooms. He pulled his lute from his back and plucked a few tentative notes, letting the music mingle with the natural chorus. The sounds wrapped around him like a familiar blanket, comforting and endless. As evening approached, Elias found a clearing beside a quiet brook where the water moved slowly over smooth stones, and the air smelled sweet with earth and moss. He built a small fire, careful and deliberate, the flames crackling softly like whispers in the dark. From his satchel, he took out the silver spoon, not to eat, but to hold it near the firelight, watching how the flickering glow danced across its surface. His fingers traced the crescent moon, engraving a symbol of cycles, of change, and of quiet protection. He thought of the villagers he'd left behind, of the herbalist's gift, the children's laughter, the slow turning of days beneath the willow tree, and he felt a soft swell of gratitude, deep and steady, like the river beneath the stars. As the sky deepened from lavender to ink, the first stars began to twinkle, tiny pinpricks of light scattered across the vastness. Elias lifted his gaze and began to hum a low, soothing melody that rose and fell like the breath of the night. The music mingled with the crackle of fire and the gentle murmur of the brook, a lullaby for the world itself. He imagined the stars, listening silent and watchful, their light traveling across time and space to cradle him in their ancient glow. In that moment, the weight of the world felt far away. There was only the fire, the music, and the steady beating of his own heart. A heart no longer burdened by fear or loneliness, but buoyed by connection, by stories shared, by kindness given and received. He closed his eyes and let the melody carry him. And now, dear listener, as you rest beside this fire of words and dreams, let your own breath become the music's, steady and soft. Imagine the warmth of embers against your skin, the scent of pine and earth filling your senses, the gentle chorus of night creatures singing you toward sleep. Feel your eyelids growing heavy, your body sinking deeper into comfort. Know that, like Elias, you carry your own silver spoons and wooden spoon symbols of your strength, your memories, and your hope. And that in this quiet moment, you are safe, you are held, you are ready for dreams. Sleep now, gently. The stars will watch over you, and the song will never end. Let your body sink even further into softness. Feel the gentle rhythm of your breath. Like waves ebbing slowly on a quiet shore, there's nothing for you to do now but listen to the gentle unfolding of our story, like a soft breeze weaving through the leaves. The next morning, Elias awoke to a sky brushed with pale pink and soft gold, the horizon glowing like a promise. The fire had burned low to warm ashes, still faintly glowing, and the scent of damp earth mixed with the sweetness of wildflowers. He stretched, letting the quiet peace of dawn seep into his bones. Packing his things slowly, he tucked both spoons carefully away, silver and wood alicant, slung his lute over his shoulder. The road back toward Alderwin was quieter than before, yet somehow fuller, like a book opened to a favorite page. Walking through the forest, Elias noticed how the light filtered differently now, softer, gentler. The leaves whispered stories as the breeze passed, and the bird song was a delicate thread weaving through the morning air. He paused by a stream, watching the water ripple over smooth stones, catching the sunlight in a dance of light and shadow. For a moment, he dipped his hand into the cool flow, feeling the gentle pulse of the world beneath his fingertips. It was a reminder of life moving quietly, endlessly forward, and of the calm strength found in stillness. When Elias returned to the village square, the people greeted him like an old friend. They shared fresh bread and honeyed wine, laughter ringing softly like wind chimes. Children gathered around, eyes wide with wonder, as he strummed his lute and told tales of faraway places and brave deeds. Yet in every story, there was always a quiet moment, like a secret breath between words, inviting listeners to rest, to dream, to simply be. As evening fell, the village gathered beneath the great oak tree, its branches stretching wide like open arms. Lanterns flickered softly, casting golden pools of light, while the stars above began their slow, shimmering dance. Elias played a lullaby, the notes weaving through the cool night air like silver threads. Faces glowed in the firelight, eyes soft and peaceful, and the world, for just a moment, held its breath in gentle stillness. You, dear listener, are part of this circle now. Imagine the cool night breeze brushing your skin softly. Let the gentle rustle of leaves soothe your mind. There is nothing to do but listen and drift as the music fades. Feel your eyelids growing heavy, your body sinking deeper into softness. Your breath slows, steady and calm, safe, held, at peace. Sleep now, cradled by the stars and the whispers of the village. Dream of gentle roads, soft songs, and silver spoons that protect not just the body, but the heart. Feel yourself settle even deeper now, as the world around you softens and fades gently into quiet. Your breath is slow and steady, a calm rhythm that carries you further and further into peace. Let the whisper of leaves and the warmth of firelight wrap around you like a comforting blanket. The night grew darker, but the village of Alderwin remained softly alive, with flickers of candlelight and the quiet murmur of whispered conversations. Inside the baker's cottage, the hearth fire glowed warmly, casting dancing shadows on the walls and filling the room with the rich scent of baking bread and spiced herbs. Elias sat close to the fire, his lute resting on his lap as he traced the smooth curve of the wooden spoon, now a cherished talisman, a symbol of gentle protection and kindness. The hearth's crackle seemed to echo the steady beat of his heart, steady and sure. The villagers gathered slowly, drawn by the soft music that floated through open windows and down cobblestone streets. Old women rocked in wooden chairs, their eyes half closed with peaceful smiles. Children curled up in warm blankets, fingers tracing patterns in the soft wool. And Elias began to play a quiet melody, low and soothing, a song woven from the stories of the village and the gentle rhythms of everyday life. The music wove through the room like a silken thread, pulling everyone closer, wrapping them in warmth. The song was not loud or hurried, was a gentle lullaby, a whispered comfort that spoke of home and safety. The notes danced softly, like the flicker of the hearth fire or the slow sway of willow branches in the night breeze. Each chord was a soft breath, each melody a sigh of contentment. As the music filled the room, Elias's voice joined the lute, soft and steady. He sang of the silver spoon, a talisman against fear and sickness, of the wooden spoon, a gift of kindness and gentle strength. He sang of the village, where every face held a story, and every heart beat in a quiet rhythm. And in that moment, the walls seemed to hum with peace. You, dear listener, can feel this peace too. Imagine the firelight flickering softly on your skin. Hear the gentle strum of the lute and the calm warmth of the song wrapping around you. Let yourself be held by this moment, safe, warm, at rest. Let your eyes grow heavier still. Your breath slows, deepening, steady as the night. And know that you are cradled by stories, by music, by kindness. Sleep now, wrapped in the gentle song of the hearth. Feel the calm deepen around you like a soft blanket settling over a quiet night. Your breath flows slow and gentle, steady and warm. The world outside fades softly into a hush, and all that remains is this peaceful moment, the whispering woods and the night's embrace. As night deepened over Alderwin, Elias rose from the hearth's glow and stepped outside into the cool embrace of the whispering woods. The air was fresh, scented with pine and earth, touched by the faint sweetness of night-blooming flowers. Above, the stars shimmered quietly like scattered silver notes across a velvet sky. The trees stood tall and still, their branches swaying gently in the soft wind that seemed to carry secrets older than the village itself. Elias walked slowly beneath their boughs, the path beneath his feet soft with fallen needles and moss. With each step, he felt the quiet strength of the woods surrounding him, the kind of deep, ancient calm that hums beneath the noise of everyday life. A chorus of crickets sang softly, blending with the rustle of leaves. Far off, an owl called a soft, soothing sound that echoed like a lullaby across the night. He paused by a small clearing, where moonlight spilled like liquid silver on the forest floor. Sitting down on a mossy stone, Elias cradled his lute and began to play a delicate, shimmering melody that seemed to rise from the very heart of the woods. The music floated upward, mingling with the night sounds and the gentle breeze. It was a song of the earth's quiet power, of roots deep in soil and branches reaching for stars. As he played, Elias thought of the silver spoon in his satchel and the wooden one beneath his pillow. Both held stories of protection, of kindness, and of the gentle courage it takes to be vulnerable. He imagined the spoons glowing softly in the moonlight, small beacons of light in the vast dark, and he let the music carry those stories into the night like a soft prayer whispered in the wind. Now, dear listener, imagine yourself here beside Elias. Feel the cool moss beneath you. Hear the gentle song weaving through the trees. Breathe in the scent of pine and earth. Let the night's embrace hold you safe and warm. Your body grows heavier, sinking into softness. Your breath slows, deepens, and becomes steady. You are wrapped in calm, cradled by the whispering woods. Sleep now. Gently dream of silver spoons and soft songs under starlit skies. Let your breath settle into an easy, rhythmic flow like gentle waves caressing a quiet shore. Feel the calm spreading through your body, from the tips of your fingers to the soles of your feet. You are safe, you are held. And now, our story softly continues, the gift of morning light. As the first pale light of dawn touched the edges of the forest. Elias awoke beneath the whispering trees. The air was cool and fresh, filled with the delicate scent of dew-kissed leaves and blooming wildflowers. Birdsong filled the quiet morning, each note a gentle greeting to the new day. Elias stretched slowly, savoring the softness of moss beneath him and the warmth of sunlight beginning to spill through the branches. He rose and began to walk again, the forest path glowing softly in the gentle light. Every leaf, every blade of grass shimmered as if sprinkled with tiny diamonds. Along the way, he spotted wild herbs and delicate flowers, their colors muted yet vibrant in the morning mist. He paused to gather a small bouquet of lavender for calm, chamomile for peace, and mint for fresh breath, wrapping them gently in a cloth from his satchel. With his lute slung over his shoulder and his spoons tucked carefully away, Elias made his way back to Alderwin. The village was just beginning to stir. Smoke curled lazily from chimneys, and the distant sounds of morning chores floated through the air. He was greeted with soft smiles and nods, the kind of quiet, steady welcome that feels like a warm embrace. That day, Elias shared his bouquet with the herbalist, who smiled knowingly and nodded. Together, they prepared a gentle tea, its steam curling upward like a silent blessing. The villagers gathered to sip the fragrant brew, its warmth spreading slowly through their hands and hearts. It was a simple gift, yet it carried the deep magic of care, connection, and the soft power of morning light. As evening fell, Elias strummed his lute by the hearth once more, the room glowing with firelight and the gentle murmur of contented voices. He thought of the spoons, the songs, and the stories that had brought him here, and he knew that home was not just a place, but a feeling held in kindness, in music, and in the quiet moments shared between hearts. Now, dear listener, let yourself carry this feeling into your own heart. Imagine the warmth of morning light on your skin, the gentle touch of kindness in every breath you take, and the soft music of life humming all around you. Your eyes grow heavy, your breath slows and deepens. You are wrapped in warmth, in peace, in gentle light. Sleep now, softly, held by the gift of morning and the promise of tomorrow. Let the quiet calm surround you like a gentle, warm blanket. Feel your breath slow and deepen, your body growing heavy with peace, as our story drifts toward its tender, soothing close. The hearth's last song the night deepened once more over Alderwin, and the village settled into a soft, peaceful hush. The hearth fire in the baker's cottage glowed low and warm, casting a golden light that flickered gently against the wooden walls. Elias sat close, his lute resting softly in his lap, fingers brushing the strings with delicate care. The silver spoon and wooden spoon lay beside him, quiet companions in the warm glow. He began to play a final song, a melody woven from every step of his journey, every face he had met, every moment of quiet kindness shared. The notes floated softly through the air, wrapping around the room like a tender embrace. The music spoke not of endings, but of beginnings, of journeys taken, and the gentle unfolding of new days. Outside, the stars shone bright and steady, their light a soft, eternal lullaby. A gentle breeze whispered through the trees, carrying the song beyond the village, across fields and forests, beneath the vast, sleeping sky. And in that song there was a promise that no matter where the road leads, the heart's quiet light will always guide you home. Now, dear listener, as the last notes fade like a sigh, let yourself drift deeper into softness. Feel the warmth of the hearth within you, the gentle strength of kindness and song, the calm glow of silver spoons, and the steady rhythm of your breath. Sleep now, cradled in peace. Dream gently, knowing you are safe, held by stories and music and the quiet love of the night. Good night, dear one. May your dreams be soft and sweet, and your heart is forever light.